Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Base Paths and Brewskis. Today we have episode 27, the Cincinnati Reds series, nail biting with Cincy. A lot of good games in this series. Beer of the pod, back to the water. Kind of been lame. I know. Let's move past that. Player spotlight, Jackson Churio. Kind of been having a good month here. Spoiler alert, we saw into the future, and he has a really cool game against the Angels, I think, because we have special powers to see into the future. Whoa. Anyway, Churio, obviously, like the sprint speed and the fielding we knew was going to be there as, some calling cards. The batting, while, there is a lot of blues, I know you've touched on bat speed quite a bit, and that's like a kind of thing that's just starting to be tracked. And typically, high bat speed is in pretty good direct correlation with success offensively. So, what do you think has changed kind of since June, besides his hair being braided? What do you think's changed that has kind of allowed him to make a bit of a leap here while he was off to such a rough start?
I think it's just more at bats, more time in the big. I mean, obviously he's coming. He came from AAA, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Um, but then he gets thrust in on opening day against big league, big league
Yeah.
pitching, and even though AAA is right below it's the next lowest level. There is
Mhm.
quite a difference in pitching in just pure stuff and velocity that the major league guys have. That's why they're in the majors. And I think it just took some time for him to really get an approach that works for him while also being able to see enough of the breaking stuff to know when to lay off of it. I think early on he was just so swing happy, he just wanted to swing at everything.
Mhm.
And I think now it's just he's got a much better approach at the plate. He's patient. His eyes honestly gotten better too. He's taking a lot more of those close pitches. So I think overall it's just
I think you cut out there for a sec. What was that last part?
I think it just mainly shows that he needs more time. I think I heard a stat that just now in the pregame before the Angels game is that in April and May of AAA last year he hit 250, and
Okay.
then he went on to hit in the rest of the season. I think it was like 350 something for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So I think he needs time to adjust to the level he's at, and we've seen the flashes that he can be extremely talented.
Yeah, I mean, there's some dudes who just are off to slow. They get off to slow starts every single year. I mean, even like Julio Rodriguez, center fielder for Seattle, he's kind of notorious for being like, starting to show up in June, which he kind of has been lately with the success of Seattle. But I think that if Chorio's that guy in the start of his career and can maybe outgrow that, like whatever. If he keeps playing like he has in June so far, just being electric, fast around the base path, swinging the bat hard. Like I like his spray chart. It's pretty, evenly distributed here. A lot of those pull home runs too were on breaking balls, which he did a good job of kind of muscling out. Um, and as he's getting more comfortable, he's a little more on time, able to hit those a little further.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, kind of what we expected, honestly,
yeah,
with him coming
and
in. Usually, a young hitter like this is going to rely on his speed and fielding ability to kind of keep his spot in the lineup every day, and that's kind of what he's been up to so far. But definitely, kind of pulling a Joey Ortiz and starting to earn some more playing time for sure.
yeah. And I think you when you touched on Julio Rodriguez, Jackson Churio said I think before the season that one of the players he models his game after is J Rod and Ronald
Mm-hmm.
Acuna, and if Jackson Churio ends up being anything like Julio Rodriguez, even though he's in kind of a bit of a slump to start this year. I mean, we're still talking a young stud. Julio
Yeah,
Rodriguez has got a 276 career average so far. I mean, definitely
yeah,
something to look forward to.
yeah. I mean, even if he's 80-90% of what Julio Rodriguez is, that's a fantastic guy to have locked up in your organization. But Anyway, we can kind of hop off Churio here, go to game one of the Brewers Reds series. This was a 5-6 loss for the Brewers. I gave the craft brew player of the game to Hernandez. Is it Eliser? Eliser? I'm not
Elite.
exactly. Do you got
No,
it?
no, I'm not even gonna try.
I thought you came in confident there for a sec. I was like, ah, shit, he got
Then
it.
I read
Uh,
it.
Hernandez. I mean, I think the story of this game to me, obviously, I think offense did fine, 5 runs. Is typically going to win a ball game for us, but Freddie Peralta, man, it's definitely been a tough month for him. I heard, ahead of his start against the Angels here, listening to the pregame, I think it's like a 7+ ERA
Mhm.
in the month of June, and it's going to be extremely hard for the team to sustain success. I would say that 3 times fast.
Sustained
Without
success.
Freddie, without Freddie Peralta performing at his what we know him to be. And to me, it kind of just appears that he's been trying to do a little too much, maybe. Losing touch with who he is as a pitcher. A 60%, 70% fastball guy. And maybe kind of starting to feel the pressure of being an ace and trying to do a little too much. So, I mean, I'm really hoping as we kind of are watching the start of this Angels game, that he comes out and just pumps fastballs. Honestly, just pump fastballs for strikes. And even if you only go 4 or 5 innings, just please, just none of these like blow up starts like this. This is just it's tough to watch from a guy like Freddie, and he just doesn't seem to have that like moxie we've gotten used to seeing from him.
Yeah. If I'll be honest, if he comes out tonight against the Angels, because obviously that start against the Reds wasn't great. 10 hits, 6 earned runs. If he comes out and he struggles against the Angels tonight, I'm gonna start pushing agendas about Myers over Peralta as the team's ace.
Yeah, I mean, I
Because
think even Ray can be thrown into that argument as well. Like,
uh,
Colin
and
Colin Ray's super consistent right now, and yeah, I agree with you.
yeah, and I think like you said, maybe doing too much in that aspect. Maybe it's the pressure of having to be, the guy in the rotation. With
Mhm.
Brandon Woodruff down, obviously traded Corbin Burns in the offseason. Now it's a lot of pressure on him to be the guy who every time his name is called to start, he's got to go out and do ace things. He's got to go out and try to do what Brandon Woodruff or Corbin Burns or whatever, top end ace starter would typically do. And maybe that's just not normally his game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's hitting it right on the head. A lot of his hits were given up on the fastball, which was kind of concerning to me. He didn't walk people, which is one reassuring thing. Only one walk, 2 walks on the whole game from the team. That's not terrible, but definitely compared to Hunter Green's 5 walks, that was kind of the only thing that made Freddie look, like a more mature, solid pitcher. But I mean, considering his ERA is this high in the month of June, 4.38 on the season is not terrible.
Yeah.
So that goes to show of how solid he can be and how how good he was to start this season. And it could be that mental fatigue, even of kind of what you mentioned, the pressure of being an ace and not just being a regular starter, but being the guy on the team. And I think there are plenty of other pitching options that he doesn't need to feel that way. Like we have, like you said, Myers, who's been performing. Colin Ray kind of gives you the same thing every game, and honestly has kind of moved up from that 5 and dive guy to the guy who can go through the order 3 times confidently, and he's got like a 6, 7 pitch mix that he does it with, which I did not expect that. That was not something I saw happening this season with Colin Ray making this big step. But
Yeah.
moving over to the offensive side, quick here, we can kind of move past this one because it was a loss. Obviously, Contreras with some hits there. That was nice to see. The runs were fine. I mean, we still haven't been fantastic with runners in scoring position, but I mean, the runs were coming in, which is reassuring.
Yeah. Um, yeah. The offense, I think. if you cut out that middle four batters in the lineup,
Hmm.
this game is a really good looking box score game. Uh,
Yeah.
and this is, I mean, Jackson Churiel 2 for 3, and he also had 2 walks on the night. That's
Right.
kind of that was a game where it was like, okay, we've definitely seen some growth from him. That's like
Hmm.
eye-boggling. Um, Joey Ortiz, even though he went 0 for 2, he had 3 walks on the night. And then it was great to see Contreras get back in the home run column. I just
Yeah.
felt like before that series, he was kind of in a slump. He still is kind of hitting down on the ball. It feels like a lot of ground outs to third base recently, but it was
Hmm.
great to put together a good game. And then Christian Yelich, as always, just Mr. Consistent for the team. Yeah, lineup had a run at the end to try to win it in the bottom of the ninth. How much you'd saw of the bottom of the ninth? I only saw a bit
I
of it.
I
I heard
know I
I
know it
heard
was
of the
kind of
incident.
weird. Yeah. I know it was kind of weird that Jake Bowers got subbed in as a
Yeah,
pinch runner. I think that like of guys
that's
who I because who else would be on I mean Oliver Dunn one would be a faster option who we had on the bench. I'm trying to think of who else like Perkins
Dario couldn't have
obviously
been
wasn't.
slower.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Like that was kind of weird. Obviously not we're not going to throw Gary out there and get real crazy with it, but that just surprised me a little bit. I guess the direct substitution in as a first baseman maybe had something to do with it, but that was a little weird. And it was like a play at the plate to end the game. And I am correct, right? Is that kind of how it?
That was so that was Jackson Churio. He got a hit and they sent
Uh,
Bowers, I believe, but
yeah.
then Perkins bunted the next play that ended the
Yeah.
game.
Yes. Yes. You're correct. Yep. And I think he was under the impression there was one out going to the
Yeah,
plate because that's a weird time to bunt like that.
yeah. Um,
Jeez. All right. It
yeah,
went away. It went away. I think we're good. We're good.
yeah, it was just one of those plays that even Pat Murphy kind of described as like a young player mistake. Even though Perkins is like 28, this is what his second year in the big leagues, first or
Yeah.
second year.
First
So it's
full
just
year, really. Yeah.
yeah. So one of those plays that's just it's he wasn't quite thinking clearly, didn't quite fully grasp the situation they were in,
Hmm.
and I'm sure getting the throw out at the plate with Jake Bowers kind of maybe confused, put some chaos into the air as well.
Right.
But yeah, definitely just not the time to bunt.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it was just kind of a confusing play, but definitely one that can go either way. And it wasn't a super concerning game outside of, Freddie Peralta,
Yeah.
sadly. But we can move on to game two here. A 3-1 win for the Brewers. This was a good one. Jared Koenig opener. I think I called that in the last episode
It, you did.
that Koenig would open for Wilson. So that was kind of funny. 6 Ks from Wilson, though, filling it up after Koenig. Brian Hudson doing Brian Hudson things with his sub 1 ERA. And then Trevor McGill just shutting down the game. Overall, Joey Ortiz, man, he's
Joey
that dude.
Ortiz,
He's
man.
that dude.
Joey
His
Ortiz.
really the only offense of the day. Credit the pitching staff for holding him to 1 run. One swing of the bat gave us the win pretty much there with Joey Ortiz.
Yeah.
Just really connecting with the ball, looking like a mature hitter. I mean, coming off a game where he drew 3 walks, 3 walks, and then hits the only RBIs for the team it's impressive for a rookie who's, thrust into a starting role, kind of, started the year as somewhat of a platoon guy. And then all of a sudden now he's, starting every day, leading off against lefties typically. I mean, you couldn't really ask for more in the Corbin Burns deal. And DL Hall, I think, is working down in Nashville right now. So that's reassuring as well. But I mean, obviously Burns is tearing it up over there in Baltimore, but I mean, Joey Ortiz, you couldn't ask for much more out of a trade like that.
Yeah. I remember early on in the season, probably like a month in, everybody was kind of screaming for him to be the everyday option at third base because he was,
Hmm.
they'd only play him against lefties mainly, and he'd show out, and then all of a sudden we go back to facing a righty, and we got Oliver Dunn in there, who, no offense to him, is just not the same caliber of player so far.
Yep.
And that's more just credit to Joey Ortiz that we got more of a well-rounded player than we thought we were going to get in that trade.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's kind of funny that the trade package was based, quote unquote, around DL Hall, and that it just kind of ends up looking a little silly when you put it that way, just based on the whatever it is, 60, 70 game sample that we've got so far. But yeah, this game really was pitching staff and then just kind of one big swing of the bat. Outside of that, not a lot going on this game. Credit to the Reds for not having a great offensive performance. Kind of, I mean, that's really it. I don't really have much else to say about this game. If you do, feel free to throw it out there.
I mean, Brian Hudson needs to be in consideration for the All-Star game. I don't know what we got
Yeah,
to do, but he's
dude.
sub 1 ERA this late into the season. And when he comes in, he's usually pitching a little over an inning each outing. So, it's not just these small sample sizes of facing a batter or, facing three guys and he's out regardless of the outcome. He's coming in and shutting down over multiple innings. And
Yeah.
I he's got to be in the All-Star game, even if it's as a reserve. He's got the stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely deserves it. He's been one of the best relievers in the game. I look at like losing Josh Hader, and it's kind of seems like we picked up right where we left off with Hudson here, kind of that same, hard throwing, big lefty, lanky guy,
Mm-hmm.
strikes dudes out like no other. And it's been an impressive season from him, something I definitely didn't expect. But yeah, other than that, we can move on. Game 3, 5-4 win for the Brewers. This one was a lot more entertaining game. Just kind of a lot going on all over the place. Colin Ray did typical Colin Ray things. Really, 6 innings, quality start, 2 earned runs. The 1 walk is kind of pretty on character for him as well, with 6 strikeouts. Bullpen, did pretty good as well. Asked a decent amount of some of them. I mean, Paredes only faced 2 batters. He's another dude that with a bigger sample size is another who we could kind of argue for all-star appearance as well, but I just don't think he quite has the counting stats for that.
Yeah.
Koenig came in, and he's just one of the most flexible relievers I've seen. Being able to open a game and then come in the 7th inning the next day is pretty cool. Trevor McGill kind of cleaned it up at the end there. Started to look a little bit shaky, to say the
Ooh,
least.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean that kind of end of the game started to look pretty crazy. But Willie Adames, though, another one of the days where just one dude comes up with one big swing and game-changing hits. It's not 20 minutes of game-changing dink and dunk. Like, I mean, get some runners on, blast them home. That's kind of the classic Brewer from the last couple years style of play. So I mean, that was cool to see. And every time I see Willie Adames make plays like that, whether it be in the field or hitting, it just reminds me of possibly not having him very soon, and that's sad.
Yeah, that makes me very sad. Yeah, this game and then the pre-game 2 of the series were a lot like kind of the old school Brewers of maybe a couple years ago, where it's get a couple guys on and hit a homer, and that's where majority of the offense comes from, instead of the small ball dink and dunk we've seen for most of the season. So it was see that we can do both. That we got the guys that can come in and change a game with one swing of the bat, but then we've also seen 4 or 5 dudes rattling off singles and doubles in an inning to put up a big number.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean the bullpen, while kind of making it interesting at the end a bit, definitely they played well. Really just a good game, good fun game to watch.
Ellie
Um,
De La Cruz, man, he every time we play the Reds, it feels like he's got at least one crazy game where his speed and power just comes out to play. Where
yeah, Yeah, I mean, he shows off what he's got in terms of his speed, his athleticism. Because he legged out a triple against us, right? Like
Yeah, like first
um,
in, I think it was he
yeah,
hit one in the right field corner, and it looked easy essentially with how long he is.
pause.
Fuck,
With how what?
sign off right now, real quick.
No, I get what you're saying though. It is. It kind of looks just like something otherworldly running around the bases when he's going. I think it he spoiler alert, Jackson Churio had kind of like a little league inside the park home run against the Angels. Obviously, that's already happened when we're recording, and by the time this gets posted, and I think it was like 14.5 seconds around the bases or something like that, which is the fastest home to home time this year.
Yeah,
Ellie De La Cruz did that. I think his time was like around 15 on the dot, and he basically jogged to first. So I
yeah,
mean that's terrifying. That
yeah.
Churio beat him by half a second, and Churio booked it. I mean that was a triple out of the box type run. Like he acted like he hit that to the right center gap, and a fielder fell down. Like he was out of there right away. And Ellie, like, dude, it's like he takes 4 steps and he's already at the next bag. It's almost unfair
Enderman.
looking. Yeah, yeah, seriously, it is kind of freaky looking most of the time. But yeah, this one was just a good game. It's good to see us come out with a series victory against a division team like this, who honestly, to me, these are the best two teams in the division. You can argue the Cardinals and Cubs all you want, but I just don't see it with them. I can maybe see Pittsburgh just with the dominating pitching, but certainly it's us at the top of the mountain, and I think the next team behind us is Cincinnati.
Yeah,
Any takes from you on that?
yeah. Um, I think that you're exactly right. I feel like they're kind of similar teams in the way they're made up. You know, it's roster wise, and then we'll also see that with like our steal numbers. Like I think the Reds lead the league in steals, and then we're second, and we're trailing by like 2 or 3 steals. So two teams that are extremely aggressive on the base pass. Top heavy lineup, uh, dude, and they can just you know a few dudes get a hit on their lineup, and then all of a sudden they've put up 4 runs in an inning in an
Yeah,
instant.
yeah, they're a dangerous rally team. To me, obviously, I'm not too scared of many of the NL Central teams, but if there was a team that, got in as a wild card that we would have to face in the playoffs or
Oof.
whatever the situation may be, like that's probably the last team from the division I'd like to see.
I do
Just
not. Yeah, they'd
dangerous
be
pitching
tough.
options. Like they have some dudes like Montas, obviously kind of struggled a little more than we've seen from him like earlier in the year. They have Hunter Green, who's a dude who can be, an elite level pitcher. Um, and then their lineup is just dudes who have the potential to just break out any game. Like, I mean, De
I
La Cruz, Friedel is a solid leadoff type guy. Spencer Steer, Fraley's got some pop. Will Benson's been a dude who can really tear it up at times too, kind of a streaky guy. And then Stevenson behind the plate is usually pretty solid, along with Jonathan India too, a former Rookie of the Year guy. So I mean,
and
it's a dangerous team.
yeah, I would not want to see what Ellie De La Cruz would put together in like a wild card game in Cincinnati. That scares me.
Yeah, yeah, that's I don't know. He's
Against
a
like
big time
Colin
player.
Ray.
Yeah, yeah, true. Yeah, like David versus Goliath looking thing there with the like Colin Ray walking out there. It kind of goes to show like anyone can really play this game as long as you got the stuff. Like someone who looks like Colin Ray compared to like the build of Ellie De La Cruz, like it does not look like they are both playing the same sport, like and that Colin Ray, could strike him out. Like it does not appear that way. But yeah, I
Oh,
mean, it's a good team. It's a good team. We played good this game. You got to give them, the team credit where they deserve it. And overall, I think just kind of a good team series. Kept it close in every game. No blowouts, no shutouts. Just good baseball. I liked watching it.
mhm.
Anything you wanted to touch on to finish up?
No, I think that's spot on.
Cool. Let's move on to our series awards. Overall, I had the MVP as William Contreras. Um, kind of been a dude all season who's been putting his body on the line. Uh, this was the end of this game was the collision to his head, correct? The game three. I thought it was the
Yes.
Blake Perkins throw, and
Yeah, and he got hit.
Contreras kind of caught one to the face.
Yeah.
Not sure how flush he got him, but I mean, certainly doing it on both sides of the ball. Um, yeah, he's been so solid. Potential MVP candidate, so he deserves it for the effort he puts in every single day to go win the game.
Mm,
Barrel blaster, Joey Ortiz, that 3-run home run. To me, that was such a game changing play because we lose a game 2-1-0 without that hit, and that's going into a game 3 when you've already lost 2. You just got shut out the day before is a whole different feeling than a 3-1 win with a rubber match coming up, the next day. So I think that was a complete series defining moment that he had, and he's just been hitting so good this year. You got to give him some credit. The
yeah.
crafty pitcher I gave to Hernandez, and and just for kind of holding it together at the end of that game 1, really kind of gave us a chance at the end there. And I'm excited to see more of him, and hopefully he can be another one of these dudes that just goes through the factory and turns into a high leverage type reliever. So, and then the last award, the defense award. I'm going to give to Mr. Blake Perkins for the throw at the end of game 3. Over this season, he's been an incredible defender, patrolling center field, one of the hardest positions to play in baseball in terms of responsibilities, athleticism required to play the position, pure skill as a defender of reading the ball, and also just
Mhm.
having the wherewithal to not go for a diving catch in the situation that he was presented with in game 3. Play the ball maturely, get it on a nice hop while he's got his feet set, and deliver a strike home. And I mean, you couldn't ask for much better play out in center field than what Blake Perkins has provided. So, anything you'd change here, or any comments you want to make on the picks I did choose?
No, I think these are all great picks. Overall, good series. A lot of dudes showed out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Great team series win.
Yeah, I think a great springboard into the road trip out to Los Angeles that we're kind of watching right now.
Yeah.
Brewers went up 1-0 early, so that was cool. Was it a sac fly? It looked like I kind of was paying attention.
Yeah,
Um,
sac fly by Hoskins.
cool. Yeah, it looked like it scored Ortiz. Nice. And then Freddie Peralta went first inning without giving up a run, so that's pretty good. The B&B trivia. Obviously, a ton of speed that we kind of touched on from this series. With the speed across the board in the series, though, which Brewers player has the fastest average sprint speed with 29.5 feet per second this season? Is it A, Bryce Terang, B, Blake Perkins, C, Jackson Churio, or D, Sal Frelick? What are you thinking?
I'm gonna go Bryce Terang.
That's a good guess. So I think Terang sits at around 29 feet per second even, and Perkins is actually the fastest foot per second, I believe, at the
Really?
29 and a half mark.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Churio is like zero point 0.1 feet per second behind him. Freelick is right up there too. I mean, like these 4 dudes are all 95th percentile and above. Like they are elite speed dudes, and some of them don't even start every day for us, which is kind of crazy. So,
Jackson Trio just got a hit.
yep, just saw that.
Fucking
Banged
go.
it out to left field. So
Another note on speed too is wait till Garrett Mitchell gets back. If his legs are anything like we've seen from him in the past too, I mean we're gonna have a real fast lineup.
yeah, with him, if Tyler Black ends up being called back up, he's not too
He
shabby of an athlete himself.
just got called back up today.
Oh, did he? Is he out? He's not starting, is he?
No, because they're facing
Oh, I
lefty.
did just see his graphic. That's right.
Yeah, but San
Yeah.
Diego is putting out all righties, it sounds like, this weekend, so we should be
Oh,
seeing
mash.
quite a hefty bit of Tyler Black.
Yeah, mashed potatoes.
Pause.
Whoa. Whoa. Well, all right. On that note, up next, we obviously have the Angels series, which currently we're split one game, one game. Um, we're watching Freddie Peralta pitch right now. Bryce Trank's currently at the plate with Churio on first. Just took strike. The B&B beer requests, if you have any beers you've been dying to try, you have a go-to beer that I need to try, comment or reach out on any of the socials listed below with what I should drink next. Really trying to start drinking more beers for this, but the water's been calling my name too much, so I'm going to have to make some changes here. But thank you guys for listening, everybody. Hope you enjoy this Angel series coming up, and we're excited to talk about that one as well. So have a good one.